Hello and welcome to True Crime Guys podcast. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Michael.
Back in studio. Beautiful Friday, Las
Sure is.
Vegas. The juice is loose. He was put out on parole yesterday.
That's right, on Thursday.
Yeah.
What do you think, man?
Yeah, don't know if I
Time
want
will
to talk
tell.
about it.
Time will tell.
Time will tell. I mean, I think he served the right amount of time for what he did as far as the armed robbery, maybe even
Right.
more than he needed to for that.
Right.
But Nevada was trying to get back for what they thought was injustice as far as...
Right. Well, we'll have an
murder
OJ
case.
show in the future. We'll have an OJ show.
Yeah, because you think OJ's innocent.
Well, we'll talk about it, okay? Don't throw me under the bus just yet.
We haven't even started the show and we're already going to get so much feedback. The OJ said that's why I've always been skeptical about doing that because it's such a divisive case. It's like everybody has such strong opinions and we're younger guys. Like we didn't watch the trial live. You know, we're in our 20s still, late
So what?
20s I'll give you. But
So half of these cases we weren't even alive for.
it's just like if I'm doing that one, I feel like I need a month to study. Like, and we're not doing any other cases. It's just like, because just the amount of hate we're going to get if we fuck something up.
Oh,
Or not only that, no matter what our opinions are,
Listen.
somebody's going to have an opposite opinion of it.
I like how you said if we fuck something up. You know we're gonna.
Oh yeah, when we fuck something up.
But anyways,
like it.
we're doing a suggestion kinda this week, right?
We
got
you ask and you shall receive.
right. Been a lot of talk about
Mites.
a UK case.
Mites. Wait,
Mites.
is mates British or is that's Australian, right?
They use mate as well.
All
I
right,
think.
chaps.
Chap. That's old school, I think.
You're going
I
to
don't
get
know.
a
They
ton
probably
of
still-
annoying British accents, so tune out now if you
ton.
don't want to hear it. I'm just
Ricky
gonna let you
Gervais
know.
is going to be making a shit ton of appearances in this.
Right? Yeah, so we're going to do a British case. That's all we're going to say. Let's get into it.
All right.
You need to make a sacrifice. You need to make a sacrifice. Because my voices were talking to me. You need to make a sacrifice, or we're going to come and get you. You need to do it. Then he goes, he's the one. Do it. I stabbed him first there. I've done it a few times. While I was doing that, my voices were laughing and louder and louder. You need to make a sacrifice.
All right, so first off, I want to thank everybody that gave us feedback as far as the whole heist suggestion went. We talked a little bit at the end of the last episode about possibly
Right.
doing a heist episode. We are going to do a heist episode. I don't know if it's
yes.
going to be the one that we had in mind, but we do want to do something like that.
Yeah.
We decided against it this week. We found a British case that we really found interesting, just like kind of last minute.
Right.
And it was just, I don't know. It just,
We
I
had
sent
to
it
do
over to
this one.
Michael. Yeah, I sent it over to Michael and he's like, oh, hell yeah, we got to do
Yeah.
that one.
We have to do it. Yeah.
There's just so many things about it that are just,
And it's not super well known either to be so recent.
right.
This took place last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, and when you look at research for this case online, it's like Britain's youngest serial killer. Technically, this person was not a serial killer yet.
Right.
He's working on it.
That's right. He almost was.
Right,
Almost, man. Right on the cusp.
right. So let's get into it. This happened in Colchester, which is a historic town about 50 miles northeast of London in Essex County. It's claimed to be the oldest town in Britain and is a member of the most ancient European towns network.
It looks real historical, like in the documentaries and stuff that
It's
I watched.
apparently one of the oldest towns in Europe in general. It's like
Yeah, it looks
super
like it's
old.
got a lot of culture.
Yeah,
surrounding
and it's
it.
also
Pretty
fast
cool.
growing apparently when you read up about it a little bit.
Nice.
Now, what we're talking about is the Colchester murders of 2014. Now, this all began on March 29th, 2014, when the police received a call from a member of the public just before 5:45 a.m. A man was found on the Riverside Path in Colchester, the River Colne.
River Colton.
The man was James Atfield. He was 33-year-old, father of 5, and he was just getting his life back together, getting it back on track after being struck by a car while walking home 4 years prior.
Right. He had like chronic brain issues of some
Yeah,
sort.
he was
right
actually
from
in
the accident.
Yeah, he was in a coma for 8 weeks. He had extensive memory loss and had been slowly regaining his memory over the 4 years since it
Right.
had happened, but he was still basically disabled. This guy had really bad luck because not only did that happen to him, but then obviously what we're talking about now. He had that night, the 28th going into the 29th, he had been at the bar or pub, as they like to say, and was on his way home when he was. I guess there's a video of him walking home. You can see.
Right. He appears to be intoxicated.
Yeah, he's definitely
he's very tired.
Definitely intoxicated. He's stumbling
and
around.
He decides, I'm just going to take a nap right here outside the pub.
Right. And in the morning when the public had found him, he had been stabbed more than 100 times. Actually, to be exact, it was 102 times that he'd been stabbed. One of the times was in the eye.
Right. I've seen conflicting reports about this. Like some people said that he was, some sources said he was stabbed once in the eye, and then some people were like, mostly in the eyes.
No.
It was almost like, I think it was once as well. I don't think.
Multiple sources said once in the eye. I mean, this is another case where we deal with it every week, where we read a bunch of different articles, and it's all varying, but you try and go with what you see the most. And
right.
I only read mainly that it was one stab to the eye.
Yeah, me too, mostly.
But 102 times being stabbed, regardless, is just it's so violent and
I think the
gruesome.
sheer endurance for the killer to stab someone 102 times.
Right.
Like it's, from what I hear, it's not easy to stab somebody. You know.
It's
I mean,
not,
it takes strength. Right. Well, I'm trying to be PG here. I don't want to give away all of our secrets.
An ambulance crew arrived and attempted to help. However, he was pronounced dead at the scene. The family was convinced that it was a random act of violence because, knowing James, they knew that he would never pick a fight with anyone. He would never intentionally annoy anyone. At the bar, he was quiet, just kept to himself.
Right.
And they didn't see him getting anyone angry enough to do such a thing to him. So they were convinced it was a random act of violence. Police are struggling to try and deal with this because they have no eyewitnesses. They didn't find a weapon. They didn't have any motive. Like we talked about, the family said there's no reason for this to happen. And also they had what the British like to call CCTV, which I've never heard. It's closed circuit television is what they call surveillance cameras there.
Oh, okay.
So like if you have surveillance footage, they call it CCTV. So they had no video surveillance of the Riverside path. They had video surveillance near the bar that he was at, and that's where they started bringing in a lot of suspects. They just started evaluating the tapes from the time he left the bar, when he was at the bar, just overanalyzing everyone. We talked about this last week with surveillance footage,
right? How
everyone looks suspicious.
They do. It's just something about surveillance footage just makes everybody look like a criminal.
Right. So several people were brought in for questioning after being seen on the CCTV around the area the night of the attack, but most of them, actually all of them, were subsequently released. Essex police tried to assure the public that this was not a cause for concern and crimes like this are rare.
Yeah, this was relatively a safe place.
Yeah.
Like, people felt safe here. I mean, obviously, if he wants to curl up on the grass and fall asleep.
Right.
I mean, this is a pretty safe area.
But as you can imagine, the public, no matter what the police tell them, if they haven't caught someone who stabbed a man 102 times who seemingly did nothing to deserve such an, I don't think the police saying this is a rare act is going to make anybody feel any better.
No, just the sheer randomness of it is what
scary
freaks everybody out.
Right.
Yeah.
On April 14th, 2014, independent charity Crime Stoppers announced that it was offering 5,000 euros, which is the equivalent of $5,800 that's the reward they were offering for information that led to the conviction of Jim's killer. Now, I guess his family called him Jim. His technical name was James.
James Atfield.
James Atfield, yeah. On June 17th, 2014, 80 days after the killing, police are called at 10:40 a.m. following reports that a member of the public had found a severely injured woman on the Salary Brook Trail in Colchester. Now, this is 2 miles away from where James Atfield was killed.
Right. Not far at all.
She had multiple stab wounds to the head and body and was stabbed in both eyes. She was pronounced dead at the scene. The victim was shortly thereafter identified as Nahid Al-Mamena. She was a 31-year-old student from Saudi Arabia studying at the University of Essex.
Right, she had only been here for 6 weeks.
Man, it's heartbreaking.
She was been in Britain for 6 weeks.
She was a college student for Essex, and she was here. She was in Britain just to, further her education as a student from Saudi Arabia, and within 6 weeks, also another stroke of bad luck, she came across the wrong person at the wrong time, another random act, it seemed. She was on her way to lectures when she was attacked, and this is during the day. This is, James was attacked in the middle of the night. Seems a little bit more common for something like this. Now it's like...
Yeah, this struck me as so odd that nobody heard her most likely scream. Nobody saw this middle of the day on a walk that went to a college. Like, I feel like there should be some kind of foot traffic going on here. Mm-hmm. But something interesting about this case, she was a Muslim, and ISIS actually got word of this.
Really?
And they actually put out a word to the killer saying that they like saying, I will find you, we will find you and we will make this right.
Behead you.
Yeah, pretty much. We will behead you on YouTube. No,
That would have been convenient.
Right. Yeah. So they didn't consider it a random act.
Right.
But everybody
there was a lot.
everybody in Colchester was like, okay, this is the exact same type of death. So they weren't thinking it was
on initial
hate crime.
When it initially got reported that this Muslim immigrant had been killed, there was a lot of outrage on social media and stuff because this was 2014, so this is right in the media age.
Right.
There was a lot of outcry about this being racially targeted attack.
Yeah, but I feel like most
the
of
town
those,
of Colchester knew that an attack like this 80 days prior, a completely random attack, also where someone was stabbed in the eye with a knife,
right,
on a kind of a nature area, nature park type, where she was killed was like deep in some kind of like high grass. It was this park was. It was just a kind of a shortcut through to go to the school. She had a long walk from where someone posted a YouTube video and actually did the walk from her apartment or her like townhome to the school and made the walk and then kind of showed where she was attacked. So like we said, Colchester is now starting to believe that these two are connected.
Right.
Not only the police but the community, and that it's not racially motivated but more just a completely random attack. She happened to be walking alone by herself and went through an area where it was secluded enough for the killer to feel comfortable doing such an act.
Wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, there was surveillance footage of Naheed walking past the shops in Hunwick Road, Colchester, that was released by the police. There's not much that they can do with it, though. It's just her walking alone.
Right.
You can see it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Now, for the town of Colchester, the killings posed a grim dilemma because either the two killers were on the loose simultaneously, or there was a single killer who seemed to have no obvious victim type. We talked about, you got a white guy walking home from the bar, and then you got a Muslim woman who's walking to a school.
Yeah.
Both attacked 2 miles apart. It's most likely connected, but this person doesn't seem to care.
Yeah, and
who they're
that just
killing.
made it even scarier.
Right.
Like we said before, now the
then it could be
randomness
anybody.
It's like, wow, it could literally be anybody that's alone.
Right.
That's what
It
seems
doesn't seem to be sexually driven. Neither of them were sexually assaulted.
Nope. Nothing was stolen.
Just acts of violence. Yeah. The area of the Salary Brook Trail was roped off and forensic searches were carried out. 3 fishing lakes close to the scene of Naheed's murder were also drained. So they're going deep trying to find a murder weapon or anything that they can link to a person of interest. Again, there's no witnesses, no weapon, no motive, no evidence linking anyone to the second murder either, just like the first one.
Right.
People became afraid to visit Colchester's various parks. The overgrown hedges were cut down to give the would-be attacker less room to hide, less places to hide out. And on June 21st, police appealed publicly for information about a man in a red hooded top that had been seen riding along Hughes close to the area where Naheed was murdered. And at 10:56 a.m. was the footage was seen of this person in the red hood. Mm-hmm. This was their initial call to the public for a person of interest, like if you could recognize this person, showing it on TV and whatnot. And then on June 22nd, they made another appeal for a man in a distinctive Italian-style beige designer jacket that was seen walking on the Salary Brook Trail between 10:20 a.m. and 10:40 a.m., which would fit right in that time period,
that
right before the body was found.
It sounds like murderous attire.
Have you seen the pictures of the jacket?
Yeah, the jacket's kind of got like Inspector Gadget looking thing going on.
Definitely Inspector Gadget jacket, dude. No, totally, that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, it's
like
definitely
it comes with
it
should come with like a smoking pipe, like
yeah, a plaid hat.
Right, the pocket always has this little a little pipe in it, and like a monocle.
Oh, of course, monocle.
Yeah,
magnifying glass.
Yeah, so they put the call out for this person in the Italian beige jacket, which we'll talk more about because that was a big lead there.
Right.
On June 25th, detectives investigating the murder of Naheed say they completed 325 house inquiries, recovered 38 knives, received 600 calls into the incident, and taken witness statements from over 106 people. So they're doing work. They'd brought in other jurisdictions. This became a big investigation. These two. We talked about how this being a small historic town.
Right.
I'm guessing things like this don't happen very often there.
That's right.
The University of Essex described Naheed as an exceptional student and that her murder had a profound impact on the students and staff. Crime Stoppers upped their bounty, announcing that it was offering 10,000 euros now, 11,600 American dollars. Reward for information leading to the conviction of the person or persons responsible for the murders of Jim and Naheed. Now, on July 3rd, 2014, it's about a month and a half from the time from the murder of Nahid, an EFIT, which is basically an electronic digital photo of a person, like a composite sketch, but it's digitally done.
Right. It's made up from composite photographs of like their facial features and things like that.
Yeah, so an EFIT, which is what we described, of the man who was seen running up Hughes close from the Salary Brook Trail, the guy in the red hood.
Right.
That was released to the public, so a digital image of,
Sucks to be that guy.
right? Especially when you come to find out later that's not him.
Yeah. Or now.
Right?
You just found
I just
out.
Totally.
Okay.
An EFIT. They put out an EFIT of me, and it wasn't even me. I didn't do anything.
You believe this rubbish?
This malarkey. January, now we're into 2015, and they still have not found any promising leads. They've questioned a lot of people, a lot of everybody that happened, just every poor sap that happened to be walking down the road near that bar or happened to be walking near the Salary Brook Trail on the day of Nahid's murder is getting just grilled.
Right.
They're
Hey,
getting-
you walking by the where the girl was killed.
Right.
Come here, I gotta ask you a question.
Right? Which this seems like a small
I
historic,
just moved here.
right? I don't even know what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah, they're all, and what I read is that they were arresting pretty much everybody that was like on these CCTV videos. They were arresting them, bringing them in.
All right, blokes, I got a plan. We'll arrest everyone.
This whole town's going down.
Everyone. And
Yeah.
we'll weed them out from there.
Yeah. On January of 2015, it is announced that all 10 people arrested in connection with the murder of Jim Atfield are released from their bail without charge. As we had mentioned, they'd been arresting these people.
Right.
Officers revealed that so far more than 10,000 staffing hours had been worked on the inquiry, 850 witness statements had been taken, and 140 knives had been submitted for forensic examination, which got to be like every knife in this town too, right?
Right.
Like every knife is under examination, like nobody's safe.
Right.
You can't say that they weren't doing their freaking due diligence with trying to find the murderer for these two people.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they were thorough with the knives.
Right.
I can picture them like, honey, have you seen the cheese knife? Oh, the cops took it.
Right. The bread knife too? I can't even make a sandwich, damn it.
Fair enough.
Right. 550 hours of CCTV footage had been reviewed, and more than 400 hours had been spent interviewing the people that had been arrested in connection with the investigation.
Gosh, man. They were thorough.
Yeah.
They're putting the work in.
They also went and pulled the records of pretty much everybody that had a prior knife conviction, which was 69 people, and they were all individually brought in and spoken to as persons of interest.
Right.
Not necessarily suspects. They weren't arrested, but they were brought in for questioning.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that because one of them turns out
One
to
of them was
be-
our fella,
They
right?
were on, yeah, they were onto the right
He had a previous arrest for a
path there.
burglary.
Right. On May 26, 2015, so now we're talking well over a year since James was murdered and just under a year since Nahid was murdered.
Right.
Michelle Sadler, who was a hairdresser, was out walking her dog along the Salary Brook Trail and saw a man staring at her that looked, he just didn't look right. She did some interviews later and said he just
Right.
was an odd-looking bloke.
He's definitely being an all-star creeper right here.
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
He's just lurking in his Italian jacket with his smoking pipe and
What are you looking at?
right. We've talked many times on this show about you just get a sense for someone when you just get a weird vibe from certain people.
Yeah, sometimes I get weird vibes for people standing in brush with trench coats, gloves, and knives.
Yeah.
Like sometimes they're okay. I'm like, okay, he's probably in the park, like
He's
cutting,
probably-
cutting flowers.
Yeah.
But sometimes,
Like that picture we have, the making
I'm
murder
like,
charming. He's
he
like that guy.
may stab me in the eyes.
Yeah.
So
She had
there's
just
that to consider.
she had enough of an inkling that he might stab her in the eyes that she decided to not continue in the path that she was heading in, and
Right.
rather she would turn around and walk the other direction. Turned out it's a smart move.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so she turns back. She starts heading the other direction. She runs into another man who happens to be out walking on the trail, tells
Yeah.
him what she had seen. The two of them then return to the path where she was. There's like a little bridge area where she was looking down from and
Right.
saw the creeper in the freaking Italian jacket.
Yeah. Mind the bloke in the bushes over there.
Right.
He's right creepy.
He looks an awful lot like that bloke on the television, that jacket and the smoking jacket.
Oh, I recognize that jacket.
Right.
Who wears those?
It's got a sachet on it. A sash?
Sachet.
It's like a fucking robe, but it's Italian jacket. I don't know, that's stupid.
It's got the
looking.
maiden belt. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I don't know. Neither of us could pull off this jacket. You got to be one sexy. You got to have like just black hair, like
Yeah.
flowing locks.
Oh, do you?
I feel like you have to have like a nice dark Italian complexion to be able to pull this jacket off.
Why is it so Italian for you? I feel like a lot of other people have worn this jacket before.
Dude, you don't understand what my friends would say to me if I wore this jacket.
I would love to know. What
I
would they say?
I would never hear the end of it. Some slurs would be thrown my way. I don't know. It wouldn't be good.
It wouldn't be.
Right. So she let's get back on track. She goes, finds this other guy walking on the trail. She brings him back, and all of a sudden the creeper's gone. The creeper in the Italian jacket is nowhere to be found. And she was creeped out enough about this whole thing to actually call the police. And it's people like her, that actually make shit happen. It never hurts to call when you got a killer on the loose.
Right.
And we talked about intuition. She knew.
That's right.
Deep part of her told her this guy was up to no good. And
Yeah,
when
she said it was like he was looking right through her. Like he
Right.
just was staring at her, like not acting like he was doing something over in the
Right.
bush or doing his own thing, like literally just standing there.
Right. And the police responded to this and went down to the Salary Brook Trail. Now, if you haven't connected the piece, the Salary Brook Trail was where Nahid was found.
Right.
So this is the same area that the killer had already done work.
People are still going there apparently.
Yeah, apparently this woman feels comfortable enough to go out there walking around. I don't know what kind of dog she had.
Yeah, maybe she had like a real feisty Pomeranian. Yeah, that'll at least tell her that he's over
She'll
there.
know there's a creeper nearby at least. Now, will the dog be able to do much? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, ankle biter, man.
Yeah, those are vicious. Those attack Pomeranians.
That's right.
So the police would make their way down to the Salary Brook Trail. He was still hanging out, this person in the Italian jacket. It turned out it was not a man. It was a 16-year-old boy. His name was James Fairweather. He was wearing gardening gloves and had a knife in his pocket. Now, this is another one of those discrepancies. I heard gardening gloves from a pretty reliable source. I also heard like leather gloves. I heard surgical gloves.
Right.
I heard 3 different types of gloves just studying this case.
Well, in the picture, it
it
looks
doesn't
like
really
gardening
matter.
gloves. Because when he was arrested with the gloves still on, they're gardening gloves. I saw them.
Oh, did you see him?
Yeah.
Okay, but
They're like the knitted kind, and then they got like the little like the rubber dots on the other side.
No.
Yeah, I'm being serious.
for gripping your knife.
Yeah, for gripping your knife. You don't want to slide out of your hand.
Right, that's true.
What kind of animal are you?
Yeah. He was then taken to the police. Now, when the police came up to him, they asked him if he had anything on him, and he told them he had a knife. When he pulled the knife
He was
out,
quite
had
honest.
Right. He was. He
Yeah.
was forthcoming, and we'll talk about how forthcoming he was, because when the police took him into the station for questioning, it turned out that he was one of the 69 people that they had already talked to with the knife crime in his history.
Right, but
You
his alibi was that he was staying at home alone at the time.
Yeah, so when they initially
couldn't
questioned
confirm
him,
it nor deny it, so they're like, we'll just release him.
Yeah, so he had the previous crime that he had was during secondary school, when he was like basically in high school. He had walked into his local convenience store, like right next to his house,
Yeah.
and brandished a knife to the person at the counter, and basically stole cigars from them, and then went to school the next day bragging about it. So that was the knife crime. So when they questioned 69 people, he was one of them, and he had, like you said, kind of a weak-ass alibi. It was like, I was at home on the day of the murders
Yeah.
alone.
Alone.
If you're going to have
okay.
an alibi,
You should probably get some people on your side.
right.
Yeah.
What Gary Ridgway, right?
But he didn't
had
have... yeah.
he had a couple neighbors that
Then they
vouched
sold him
for
out.
Yeah,
But he didn't really have any friends, though, Lorne,
right.
which we'll get into.
This kid, yeah.
He was very isolated. Yeah, before we get too far ahead, when he was arrested on the trail, like when they first came up to him and questioned him, like, what are you doing here?
Found out that he had a knife and
all that
gloves
stuff. Like,
on
what are
and
you doing
everything.
here with this? Like, explain yourself. And he just blatantly said, like we talked about his honesty, he just blatantly said, I'm looking for my third victim.
I need one more to get my Xbox achievement for serial killer.
Looking for my third victim. If you could just scooch, I can't see you.
Right.
If you could, just to your right there.
You guys are kind of cock blocking right now,
How you expect me to ambush you with all you people standing around?
right? It takes 3 to become a serial killer, people. 3, not 2. This asshole.
All right. I think this would be a good time to take a break for a sponsor. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it. All right, Michael, let's talk about our friends over at Casper Mattress.
Let's do.
Casper is a sleep brand that created one perfect mattress sold directly to consumers, eliminating commission-driven, inflated prices. Its award-winning sleep surface was developed in-house, has a sleek design, and is delivered in a small, how did they do that, size box. How the hell? In addition to the mattress, Casper also offers an adaptive pillow and soft, breathable sheets. The mattress industry has forced consumers into paying notoriously high markups. Casper is revolutionizing the mattress industry by cutting the cost of dealing with resellers and showrooms and passing the savings directly to the consumer.
Yeah, an in-house team of engineers spent thousands of hours developing the Casper. It combines supportive memory foams for a sleep surface that's got just the right sink and just the right bounce. Plus, its breathable design sleeps cool to help you regulate your temperature through the night.
It's also very convenient to get a Casper mattress. Buying a Casper mattress is completely risk-free. It offers a free delivery and free returns with a 100-night home trial. Who else is going to give you a 100-night home trial? You go to a car lot, they maybe let you borrow a car for a couple days at
Maybe
best.
5 at most.
Yeah, or you take it for a test drive and then you got to sign on the... No, they're going to let you take it home for 100 nights and try it out. If you don't love it, they'll pick it up and refund you everything. Casper understands the importance of truly sleeping on a mattress before you commit, especially when you consider you're going to spend a third of your life on it. This is a big deal, buying a mattress.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like deciding on what spouse you're going to be with.
Is it?
You're going to sleep with them every night.
Yeah, I guess so.
Same thing, right?
I think your spouse is in this decision as well, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
The Casper is an obsessively engineered mattress at a shockingly fair price. It combines the supportive memory foams to create an award-winning sleep surface with just the right sink and just the right bounce. With over 20,000 reviews and an average of 4.8 stars, it's quickly becoming the internet's favorite mattress.
Right, and there's free shipping and returns to the U.S. and Canada. So you can try Casper for 100 nights, risk-free in your own home. If you don't love it, they pick it up, refund you everything. Designed and developed and assembled right here in the USA.
That is awesome. Not enough companies do that anymore.
I agree. And if you are in the listening realm of this podcast, you can go to www.casper.com/creeper and you get $50 towards any mattress purchase. That's www.casper.com/creeper.
I'm going to go get me a mattress.
Do it.
Save $50. All right, let's get back to the story. Now, once the police got him back to the police station, he pretty much just gave in right away and gave a full confession of,
Absolutely.
and not just a confession, but like demonstrated.
Yeah, stood up and demonstrated how he.
I tried to
killed him.
find. Could you find the whole police
The
interrogation?
whole thing is not up there.
No, it's not.
Just the
There's
fact
like
where he
a
starts
minute and
talking
a half
about the
clip.
voices.
Yeah.
I'll probably put it at the beginning.
Yeah,
you probably already heard it.
You probably already heard it if you're listening to this. You probably already heard part of his confession.
Right.
But you wouldn't. You do kind of want to watch the YouTube clip of part of his, because he like demonstrates how he killed James.
Right.
How he stood over him and stabbed him, and
Yeah.
and then he talks a lot about voices in his
Super
head.
calm. I just stabbed him. Just there.
Yeah,
There in
it's
his
very
stomach.
no emotion.
Right.
Didn't seem to have remorse, but also wasn't like particularly like proud. It didn't seem like he was like posturing like, yeah, I'm so like badass.
Right.
He didn't seem like he was posturing like he was a badass.
No,
for
it's
doing
like,
this.
it was almost like he was teaching somebody new on the job how to do a job.
Right.
It's like you just stand up and you just stab him just there.
Yeah.
And a couple more times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just very, very chill.
Yeah, and the details came to the police little by little. He told the police that on the night that he killed James Atfield, he waited for his parents to fall asleep and went out of his bedroom window. And basically he walked the streets with intentions of looking for someone to kill. Now, after he killed James, he took the clothes that he was wearing during the killing. Obviously, you stab someone over 100 times, there's going to be blood all over your clothes.
Right.
He took the clothes off back at his house, put them in a bag, and dumped them into one of those dog poop bins when you go to the park.
Yeah, who's going to dig through that?
I guess not, but I mean, it's like just seemed like there's better places to put.
You think so?
I do. I mean,
Well, half of the killers that we do just throw their stuff out in the trash. He went a little further.
they're
I
not
mean,
going to
I feel
dig
like,
through the
I feel
dog
like the
poop.
guys that's emptying the dog poop bin is like, you're holding that shit as far away from you as you possibly can. You're not even trying to look at it.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Much less dig through it.
Yeah, if I ever kill, I'm going to use my. We have one of those diaper genies.
Yeah.
I'm going to stuff it down in there with
Right.
the tube of poop.
Yeah. It totally
No one's digging through that.
No. And you can't smell it or
It's
anything?
literally a big sausage tube of poop.
Yeah. Right.
He then threw the knife. He then took the knife that he'd used and threw it in the river.
Wow. Cone, right?
The
Are we
river
saying
cone.
that right?
The river cone. Yeah, I actually
You
looked
saying
up.
right?
I looked up people talking about like I looked up you. This is how far I go. I go down the rabbit hole. I actually was like worried about pronunciations of things.
You
so
should be.
I know, and I still probably will get it wrong. I probably already have. I went to like YouTube video, but at least so you know that I try.
Look at that, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I put in effort. A for
I
effort.
appreciate that.
F for
They appreciate
execution.
that. Right.
I looked up videos of people like just random people on YouTube like fishing at the river cone, the river cone,
It's like,
just so I could hear them say it, so I know that I could get it right.
yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, that's where he threw the knife, and I'm surprised that they didn't find it because we talked about how they like drained several lakes and ponds and stuff. And
We can't really drain a river, though. I, mean, I
Right.
guess you could dam it up
no, yeah, you're right.
and then just like swim through it, but
Yeah. Now, Fairweather went on to talk about the day that he killed Nahid. He left home armed with a bayonet. Now,
I think that's an
just-
exaggeration.
I don't know.
He
I
had
mean,
a
he might have
freaking-
had like a
Dude,
kind of like memorabilia type of thing.
He had a lock knife.
He seemed like that type though. That would like
He had a lock knife. It wasn't a bayonet. That's an exaggeration.
he had a lock knife that he used for James, but at the same time, I think it's pretty well known that he used a bayonet.
No, he had the lock knife when he was arrested.
How do you know he just didn't get a new knife for his third killing?
There was a
His
picture of the
potential
lock
third.
knife, though. Like when he got arrested, like all the things that he had on him when he was arrested, there was a picture of a lock knife.
That doesn't mean that he used that lock knife on Nahid.
Well, you think he carried a big ass lock knife
'Cause he got
and
rid
a
of-
bayonet?
Because he got rid of the knife that he used on James in the river, right? So why would he not get rid of what he used on Nahid after that as well? And then for his third victim, get a new knife, which was the lock knife that they found on him.
Maybe that was his favorite fucking
He
knife.
claims that he used a bayonet, and he has no reason to lie about it. He's going away. He's confessing to murders. There was no reason to,
Or maybe he's just trying to look like a badass.
maybe.
Yeah.
Well,
He's
either
using a
way,
damn
his
Swiss
story-
Army, and he's calling it a bayonet over here.
Either way, his story is that he left home armed with a bayonet and hid along the bushes in the Salary Brook Trail and waited. A quote from him, he said, "She was walking away from me. She did not notice me. I pulled it," meaning the bayonet, "out. It went into her kidneys, I reckon. She stumbled. I hit her in the eye and killed her instantly. It went through the brain." When the detective asked why the eyes, he said it was so she could not see evil. Now, this is where, that was obviously quite graphic, but you're listening to a true crime podcast, so you expect it.
Right.
This is where he starts going into his saying that he heard voices.
They were begging him to make a sacrifice,
Right.
or they were going to come for him,
Yeah.
supposedly.
He said, "You need to make a sacrifice. We're going to come and get you." And he also said that the voices would get louder and start laughing when he was doing committing the acts themselves.
Yeah. But these voices are a fishy thing. I guess we'll talk more about that when we get to the psychiatric eval.
Right. So on May 29th, 2015, the police would formally charge Fairweather with both murders. Now, after he was arrested, the police searched Fairweather's bedroom and found a DVD about the Yorkshire Ripper, Peter Sutcliffe.
Oh, Mr. Sutcliffe, huh?
Yeah, we were just looking at him a little bit, and Michael
Yeah.
said
He's
I
like
quote, he said, "He's a cool-looking dude,"
Yeah, he is. He's like the British Uncle Jesse from Full House.
mixed with like a vampire, though. At
John
the same time,
Stamos.
He has a little vampire-ish to him.
Yeah, a little bit.
He might suck your blood.
He might. In that one picture, he looks like he gained some weight over the years.
Yeah.
But if you Google him, like the first one that shows up, if you Google Yorkshire Ripper,
Yeah.
the one with the red background.
Cheers to those who suggested the Yorkshire Ripper as a case for us. Just a quick synopsis. He killed 13 women and attempted to murder 7 others in the 80s.
And he also had an obsession with the eyes.
Well, he was convicted in the 80s. I believe he did his killing in like the 70s, right? We're just doing a quick look at him real quick.
Right.
Not full studying him, but
Yeah.
person
yet.
person who was studying him was James Fairweather. Among other serial killers, that's what also kind of drove us to want to do this case, is because Fairweather was a young dude in modern day age,
Right.
much like a lot of our fans and listeners that are obsessed with serial killers and stuff.
Right.
The police kind of almost tried to use that against him. Like, not kind of, like they did. Like
They absolutely did.
yeah. In his bedroom, like we talked about, they found that, the DVD about the Yorkshire Ripper. They also found a book called The World's Worst Crimes.
You could probably find that at any of our houses.
Oh, yeah. On his mobile phone was an article, 5 horrific serial killers who are free right now. We probably have that in our search history. This is all shit that...
Yeah, I know,
mean,
right?
If you looked
I'm
at our
like,
search history, we'd be convicted right now of something.
It's like, I hope I'm never like a suspect in something.
Right.
Just being in the
It's
wrong
like, oh,
place
this
at the
dude's the
wrong
guy
time.
for sure.
Like, this guy. It's got to be him.
Right. So as well as the Yorkshire Ripper, he was also really interested in Ted Bundy and been researching him, as well as Kenneth Erskine, which is interesting. He was the Stockwell Strangler.
Right.
It's interesting that he was fascinated with Erskine because of what he tries to. James Fair.
He took a lot of Erskine's defense tactics.
Yeah,
tactics.
he seems like he was trying to build himself a reduced sentence from manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility.
Right,
which
because
is
that was also things he searched. He searched the difference between manslaughter and murder and what constitutes for each.
Right.
You know, when this law came about and
So he was trying to to dot his I's and cross
Yeah.
his T's before he even got caught, because I'm sure he knew he was going to get
Right.
caught, wanted to get caught
in
most
hindsight,
likely.
if he would have just lied, he
Right.
probably could have got a lot further.
Yeah. Well, Erskine is interesting because he was found guilty of 7 murders in January of 1988 and sentenced to life imprisonment with a recommended minimum term of 40 years. But then following an appeal in '09, Erskine's murder convictions were reduced to manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility.
Right.
Now, after the arrest of James Fairweather, he seems like he's immediately trying to build, like with the voices in his head.
Right.
And when he got evaluated, he got assessed by Dr. Simon Hill in August after his arrest. He claimed to have heard voices telling him to set fire to babies, expressed hatred of prostitutes, saying voices told him to pull out their tongues.
I think a lot of this is just him projecting movies and books that he's seen onto real life. Because like almost everything he says,
I feel like,
everything he said could be found in a book or a movie that he owned or some sort in a very close distinction.
Yeah,
You know
what's
what I'm trying to
interesting
say?
is that he was evaluated. We talked about the knife point robbery that he did at the convenience store by his house. This was in 2014 when he was 15, a year prior. He was evaluated, sent for therapy after that. Obviously, he was like under supervision for a year for that, and he was sent to be evaluated. And he
was not even supposed to be out the night of his first murder. He was still supposed to be under house arrest.
Yeah, and after that robbery thing, he was assessed, and he didn't say any of this stuff then, and he didn't get diagnosed with anything. However, after the murders, he was diagnosed with autism. Now, we're not trying to say he wasn't autistic or on the spectrum, but we're trying to, in our opinion, after reading up on this case and watching things, we just felt like he was trying to build a case to get out of this, not get murder charges and get manslaughter. We don't believe, because he was well aware of what he was doing. He tried to cover his tracks. He knew what he was doing was wrong.
But there can also be things that bring about, like he could have been autistic or past that autistic trait, and then something dramatic come about and kind of brought that trait to the surface a little bit more. I know I'm not a psychiatrist or anything.
It's a touchy thing,
full of shit, but I feel like, because at this time his grandmother died. He's going through puberty. He's getting bullied at school. He's watching slasher films. He's saying crazy shit on social media just to get attention, and he's living in this isolated world where he's just feeding himself hate and rage and violence, and he's upset with the world. He didn't like his parents. He actually said at one point in time that he'd like to kill both of his parents.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is the perfect thing that could bring about this trait.
Yeah, because I mean, as a child, as a young man in primary school, he was known as shy, quiet, hard worker.
Right.
Classmates described a sudden change in Fairweather in his final year of school when he threatened to gun down other pupils. Now, so through primary school, fine, and then it's like there's some change during secondary school.
Right.
Or I guess secondary school would mean high school, right? In the UK, that's how. A neighbor who knew James from his primary school days said, "I always thought James was a nice boy, but a few years ago something clicked and he changed. I don't know what happened, but he wasn't the same. I'd known him since he was 11, and as he got older, I think I remember thinking not long before he was arrested that the boy was completely different." And there was speculation that it's because it was his grandmother died and kind of changed him. One female classmate said everyone knew when a teacher asked him what he wanted to do when he was older, he said, "I wanted to be a murderer."
I fancy myself a murderer.
I think I'd be quite good at it, actually.
Right. There were so many flags, though. Again, like so many flags. Like, I'm not. We've had this conversation so many times with kids. Like, I'm not blaming the parents, but
Well, let's talk about the parents, because he apparently had good parents, and they stuck with him through to the end, right?
absolutely. Even though he said that he wanted to kill them, but they didn't obviously believe that.
Right. Well, one of his favorite things to do when he was
just
young.
James being James.
Oh, yeah, it's James. One of his favorite things to do when he was younger was play darts with his dad, back when he didn't have many friends.
Right.
And people that knew him, they said they couldn't really pinpoint a traumatic thing. They couldn't think of something that was all that traumatic that happened to him when he was younger, but maybe it was the grandmother that passed away that affected him and changed him.
Could be.
Another girl he went to school with described him as a loner and weird. She added, everyone at school knew he was crazy. He just dressed different, acted different. He never seemed to have many friends, and it seemed to bother him. We also thought he was scary, to be honest. Now, he was known to be bullied for I guess he had large ears. I didn't notice it was anything particular.
Right.
He was a pretty average looking.
Yeah.
We're talking in past tense. He's still alive, but he was a normal looking kid when he was 16.
Yeah.
He had, black rim glasses, he definitely dressed a little different, I think, wearing that Italian coat.
That Inspector Gadget jacket was probably set him apart a little.
Right. And his interest maybe didn't help, like we talked about all the serial killer stuff.
Right. He could find a few friends out here though. Like,
Oh yeah, he's in good company with us. But it's a touchy thing because in a sense you can look at someone who goes to the extent to kill two people and stab them 100 times. It's like that person has to have mental issues, right? That person should be.
I think a random act, yes. I mean, I think if there's no motive whatsoever,
Right, it's not an act of passion. It's not something that
I don't think our human minds could rationalize why somebody would do that, as if they're going and playing some basketball in the park. Like you can't just kill two random people that you have no connection to, without having a psychotic episode at least.
Right.
I would believe, even if you're not completely psychotic. I mean, passion crimes are different. There's been people who, or paid killers. They're different. Mm-hmm. They're just people that just don't give a shit or whatever. But yeah, but this instance, you have to say that it's got to be some sort of psychotic episode.
All right, and so on April 11th, 2016, the murder trial began at the Guildford Crown Court. Fairweather denied 2 charges of murder and possessing an illegal weapon, but admitted to 2 charges of manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility. We talked about how he was trying to kind of like...
He had this planned.
Yeah. Expert psychologists were brought in on both sides, the defense and the prosecution. Fairweather claimed to have psychosis, which was not found by a court psychiatrist. All 4 psychiatrists who testified agreed that Fairweather suffered from an autistic spectrum disorder, however. So they found that he had autism, but that he didn't suffer from psychosis. Now, that's what this would become about. This whole trial would be about the prosecution trying to prove that he wasn't suffering from psychotic episodes.
Right.
Meaning he didn't have a severe mental disorder in which thought and emotions are so impaired that contact is lost with the external reality. They basically proved to the jury and ultimately convicted him of murder because they said he was well aware that what he was doing was wrong, and he tried to cover up his actions. He got rid of the knife. He got rid of the clothes.
The search history played a huge part.
Search history into serial killers and trying to cover up, trying to create his own mental disorder in a sense to try and get him out of getting murder and only getting manslaughter.
Yeah, because even his techniques could be traced down to other types of what's the word I'm looking for? Influences.
Right.
Like the movie Wrong Turn. He had like the full Wrong Turn series, and like I guess some of the things in that movie I haven't
Had
seen
to do
them.
with
If I have,
eyes.
It's been a long time.
Well, it had to do with eyes. Yeah, I remember.
With the eyes and just the technique of stalking and
Right.
So
Which, I mean, that could all just be coincidence. A lot of us enjoy violent stuff. I love watching violent movies. I love Wrong Turn. That doesn't mean...
yeah, but if he was autistic, the obsessive nature of autism would cause him to take that to the next level.
Yeah.
So
He would end up being found unanimously guilty by the jury on the 22nd of April, 2016. He was sentenced to life imprisonment a week later on the 29th. He was sentenced to 27 years minimum. So
yeah. What do you think will go on with that? You think he'll serve the whole 27 years? I don't think someone like him becomes rehabilitated. I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there.
You don't think so?
No. I don't think at that point in his life, he's 17, he still feels the same way now. I don't think in a few years when he's an adult, he's going to feel any different.
Right.
I think the rehabilitation should have started when he was, say, 12, right around the time his grandmother died, going through puberty, moving into secondary school, all this stuff. I think that's the time where this should have taken place.
Right.
There's too little, too late. Too many things ignored, and the evidence just kept piling up, and it's just too many signs were just blown out the window. I mean, if the kid says he wants to be a murderer when he grows up, let's let him talk to somebody.
Yeah.
A counselor, something. If he's robbing a store at knife point, if he's telling kids he's going to shoot them all after graduation, things like
Definitely
that.
a bunch of red flags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's obsessed, and then he's feeding this, like I said earlier, he's feeding this whole lifestyle, this serial killer urge by himself in isolation. He's not getting any normal feedback from anybody else, regardless of whether he's staying secluded himself or if people just really were super weirded out by him and he had no friends. I mean, either way, I think that's just a recipe of disaster.
Right, and now these things can people can be susceptible more to certain influences, like reading up on serial killers, watching violent movies and stuff like that. We're not saying that the average person who is obsessed with this stuff like us
Yeah.
is ever going to go out.
Well,
and do
because we're not
anything, or
doing it alone.
Right.
Like we have somebody to bounce the ideas off of. Just like with social media now, like on true crime podcasts, pages and things like that. Like you can go in there and see that,
There's
you're like,
like-minded
okay,
people.
I'm not a freak. I don't have to go kill somebody now.
Right.
Like there's like-minded people who are intrigued by this. They
Yeah.
have inquisitive minds and they just want to know what's going on.
And are less idolizing the serial killers, as more just interested in how their mind works. And
Right.
that's why we do this.
Yeah.
We're, by no means do we idolize them or want to.
No.
This kid wanted to, he wanted to like embody these serial killers, and he wanted to be known as
he
as
did.
one of the best. And
really
he didn't even get to 3. He didn't even technically become a serial killer. He was definitely going to be one had he not been caught.
Yeah, he should have studied Ted Bundy some more, and I think he would have got away with, get a little charisma.
Right.
I think he lacked the charisma to make it.
That's true.
Yeah.
He liked a lot of things.
He had a lot of the tools. He just didn't have them all to become an MVP.
His toolbox wasn't quite full.
No, not quite. He didn't have that charisma tool.
Right.
So necessary.
It is.
So
Gary Ridgway got away
Joking.
without it.
joking.
Gary Ridgway did just fine without all the charisma.
Yeah, but he wasn't out in the open, and then when he was questioned about it, he didn't tell them the damn truth.
That's true. Oh yeah, no, he got away many times after getting questioned, and just
Yeah.
they're like, well, he's too damn boring and average
Yeah,
to do
there's
anything.
no way.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, this kid definitely gave up everything, all the details, right away. The interviews, if check it out on YouTube.
So final thoughts, man. Do you think this kid should go away for life?
I think I don't know if I agree with you that he can't be rehabilitated, but I think he needs to serve maybe not the full term, but 20 years minimum,
Yeah.
the violent crimes that he committed.
You think that's going to help? He's got
Just
no
because
life
he was
skills now. He's
16.
got nothing.
He was 16 when he committed the murders.
You don't think like a
Dude, your brain's not even fully developed yet. Now, it was a crucial developmental stage, like you said. And so it's like if that's what you're doing at that age, those are like the traits you're learning. Those are like the reward systems you're giving yourself, is like
Right.
killing someone is good. Then maybe that like forever cements your brain as
like I don't think he should be in prison forever. But I think a mental health facility.
oh
would
no,
be
he shouldn't be
correct.
walking the streets ever.
Yeah.
I don't think he should ever be released.
So then
to
you
the
don't think he'll
public.
be rehabilitated, because if he's rehabilitated, he would have to be. I mean, by definition, he's good to go.
Right.
So you don't think.
No, I don't feel comfortable with him walking.
All right, then.
Even in England, I'm not going over there. I still don't. Feel
I have flipped
comfortable.
you.
Yeah.
I don't think in his case. I'm not saying people can't be rehabilitated, but like we said earlier, somebody to kill in cold blood, not knowing these people,
Complete random. Yeah. The violent and the way that he did it.
There's no passion involved.
The viciousness to
There's
it.
no revenge. There's no nothing.
It was just a notch on his
Yeah,
someday serial killer belt that he was going to have.
right. It was almost like a serial killer initiation for him.
Right.
It's like, I'm not a true fan if I don't actually become one.
Right.
Maybe.
And the way he described it to the police, it was like he was detached. Like it was almost out of body for him in a sense.
Absolutely.
Which I guess might give a little bit more weight to his psychosis thing.
Right.
So
So
being detached from it.
there were some sources. So I listened to a podcast called The House of Mystery, and it's where the host, he interviewed an author by the name of C.L. Sweeney, and he wrote the book called James Fairweather, Britain's Youngest Serial Killer. I didn't read it because I couldn't really find it anywhere to listen to because I can't read,
Right.
apparently. But he gave a really great summary of the book, but some of the author's descriptions and facts were way off from everything else that I heard, which is odd. So I'm wondering if maybe that's why the book didn't get as big as it did, but he claimed that he interviewed family members and detectives and psychiatrists close to the crime and stuff like that. And one of the main differences I found, for one, he said that most of the stabs were in the eyes, which I was appalled by. I was like, there's no way.
Right.
There's no way that the guy just
100
goes to
stabs.
town on eyes. Like, come on. And then secondly, he said that 4 psychiatrists all said that he was making up the voices, which is not true. I don't think that's true either. Because in the documentary, it says that the 3 defense psychiatrists all said that they believed he was crazy.
Right.
I mean, not crazy, but he was having at least a psychotic episode. He was hearing the voices. But then, of course, the freaking prosecution lawyer is going to disagree. Of
Right.
course. Why would you even have him as your prosecution lawyer if he doesn't agree
Well,
with you?
No experts brought during trial said that they agreed that he suffered from psychotic episodes or psychosis. They said that every expert agreed that he had autism, but none of them.
They did it first. In
That's
the
not what I
documentary,
read.
yeah, in the documentary, it talks about, there's like one main documentary on this guy on
Yeah.
YouTube, guys. You can go watch it. At first, the three defense psychiatrists said that, but this was before they started comparing their facts. That's what I was getting to. This is interesting. So all in all, yeah, eventually 4 said that there's no way.
Right.
But at first, the 3 defense ones all agreed
So
until
he was
they started.
convincing enough in what he was saying,
Yeah,
his thoughts were and stuff.
But check this out. This is where he fucked up, because when they started comparing their data, to each other's, the psychiatrists, they realized that all the voices were different.
Yeah.
The way they approached him were different. They sounded different. They said different things. There were some voices that were like a hand coming from a TV. Some voices were like
Yeah.
a guy with an axe in his corner of his room. Some people were like a little girl at the edge of his bed. Like it just kept varying.
Right.
It was always something different. So then they're like, well, wait a minute. He just fucking played us.
Right.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Think about that. I mean, he
And-
definitely had an episode, I think.
And there was some history to his father, right? With mental
Yeah, they said
illness.
some sort of psychotic trait was passed from his father, and that could have been underlying for the first good part of his life.
Yeah.
Up until he was 12.
His
and then
father,
the
through
traumatic
his teen
event.
years, struggled a bit, I suppose.
Yeah.
Is what I read.
I guess he was able to suppress it or rehabilitate. Maybe he caught it early enough,
Uh-huh.
or maybe he wasn't being fed all this shit from like social media and the internet. His father didn't have access to all that stuff,
Right.
Growing up. So
That's kind of what the one psychologist that was on that documentary we talked about was saying,
Yeah.
is that he had a genetic trait that was passed on to him, and then it was kind of fed and fueled by a lot of the stuff that he was
exactly
his interests. And
yeah,
he-
his
and
father had
the
to
fact that
actually
he
go
was-
out and play with friends.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was being fueled by all the worst things.
Well, yeah,
to
I
be
mean,
fueled by.
I think we know that, but maybe we should give a little PSA to listeners out there. Maybe don't live in the darkest seeds of like entertainment all the time, 24/7. Like,
No, you got to come up for air.
Yeah, we read these true crime books. We do this show. We listen to true
Yeah.
crime podcasts, but then we also go listen to Bill Burr or like some comedy stuff,
Yeah.
or like watch a damn rom
Like
com.
tonight, I'll probably watch a comedy special on Netflix just to like
Yeah.
totally clear my mind from this whole week of studying.
Yeah.
Like I just want to forget
You
about
need
it.
a palate cleanser.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, like if you're gonna taste two different beers, you need a cracker between. You need-
Right. Too much of anything is a bad thing typically.
Yeah. Except for true crime guys. I would say too much of that is always a good thing.
That's true. There's always exceptions.
I think that's a good way to wrap it up.
Oh
right?
God, you're so self-absorbed, Lauren.
Yeah.
These guys do nothing but talk about
These
themselves.
guys, yeah, they just love themselves. I agree. No, I mean, I can't argue with it.
Hey, you
At
gotta
the same
love
time,
yourself.
it's a love-hate thing. Sometimes I hate myself. Sometimes I love myself.
Oh, Lauren, come on.
I don't know what to do, man.
Oh, Lauren. You just being Lauren.
Oh, you. You want to give some shout-outs and wrap this thing up?
Hell yeah.
I got a bunch of shout-outs. I actually took the time to appreciate certain people who have been going out of their way to show us some love. We really do appreciate all of you. A big, big thanks and what's up to Michelle K., who started a Facebook group for us.
Yeah, very cool. Like, if you guys are on Facebook and you don't want your family, your friends, your mom knowing that you want to talk about true crime or you're obsessed with serial killers, like, you can join this group. I'm sure there's plenty of other ones, but, if you're a fan and want to meet fellow creepers or whatever,
This one specifically,
you can join the group.
like
yeah.
a chat
You don't
thing
have to
for-
just talk about our episodes or whatever. You can talk about whatever the hell you want. Like, it's just a way to meet other people with your interest in your area or whatever.
Right.
You know.
She did a great job setting that page
She
up.
did a
She
great-
even
the
made
banner
a banner.
looks amazing.
Yeah, she made a banner that's better than our banner. We might have
Way
to steal
better.
that. Yeah.
Way
So,
better.
yeah, and it's already up to almost 100 people in just a day or two. So
Yeah, I kind of dropped the ball on
Does
that,
she have
Michelle. I
to-
apologize. I meant to post that link way earlier.
how does
and
it
I
work?
just-
Can you like request to be in the group, or does she have to
if
invite
just,
you?
If you just search True Crime Guys, you'll see our page, and you'll also see her page. And you
Right.
can go to the page, and then you just ask to be accepted into the group. And anybody in the group can accept you, so
Right on.
it usually happens pretty fast.
Yeah, so thank you, Michelle. Also, a big shout out to Tisha in Ohio. I don't know if it's Tisha or Tisha. I'm going to
Tisha.
go with Tisha. Okay.
Yeah.
Tisha in Ohio, been blowing us up all over social media. What's
Yeah.
up?
She joined the group.
Yeah.
What's up, Tisha?
Yeah. Also, Rachel in Virginia ordered some goodies from Redbubble, some creeper gear.
Nice. Let us know how you guys are liking the Redbubble stuff, the people that have ordered stuff.
Yeah. Because we have
seems to be
shirts.
good quality.
Yeah, we have shirts that we got from
Teespring.
Teespring,
Yeah.
and they're good quality, but it was kind of the service was kind of tough to deal with.
takes forever.
Yeah, it took forever to get your stuff, so we went with Redbubble. And let us know if you guys are happy with the stuff. I want to say what's up to Nicole. She's at @fire_pixie on Instagram. She's been posting about us, like screenshotting episodes and posting them on Instagram, and binged our entire catalog in just a couple
Yeah,
days.
that goes a long way, guys. When you guys do that, share them with your friends and stuff, because you guys know who will, of your friends and family who would enjoy it more than we do.
Right.
So it's pretty cool.
Big what's up to the Naughty Nitwits. They have a YouTube channel, the Naughty Nitwits. It's a podcast about knitting and just other stuff. So
And I bet it's witty too.
it is witty.
It seems witty.
Michelle and Leslie, what's up over at the Naughty Nitwits? I guess they've talked about us on their video. It's a video podcast, or they sit around talking about.
I am totally subscribing today.
Yeah, definitely check it out. And they talked about us, and that's actually how Nicole found us, was through the Naughty Nitwits. So
Nice.
what's up? Thank you, ladies. Eddie T. He is at I_M_Zodi on Instagram. He's a fellow 49er fan. So
Oh,
I said
who
the same
cares?
stuff.
Who cares?
Niner Nation. What's up, Eddie? Now, some quick iTunes reviews. I want to thank Shane.
Got some good ones, man.
Oh, we do. I want to thank Shane A. from Austin. He listens at work while he builds cabinets. I love it when, if you're going to write as a review, put in there like how you listen to us. I just like knowing where you're at.
It is cool to know. Yeah.
Whether it's a drive that you have to do or what you do for a living. I don't know. It just makes it a little bit more. It's kind of cool to think about. Also, Love Your History, which is Julie. She listens while she does her mind-numbing data entry job. So,
Well, I'm glad we can help, Julie.
yeah,
How's the day going? I hope you're having a good day.
Right.
Wait, today's Saturday, so I don't know. You may be listening on Monday.
typing away.
Typing away.
Tawny Mays, also Jane Greaser, drives from Waco, Texas to Austin, Texas, and we make the drive a whole lot better. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'd like to do an episode on Waco. That'd be cool. That whole standoff that went down.
Oh, yeah. We could.
Yeah.
We'll think about it.
Yeah. We'll see if Waco's good enough.
We'll see. We'll take a look at it.
Ken Kyrie, thank you for your iTunes review. Also, Squires D-Train says listens to us every night before bed. So
Oh, cool.
shout out to all the couples that listen in bed together.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We'd like to join you guys in bed. It's pretty fun, huh?
Yeah. Peg Jones. Mike, you're just getting
Why are you
loopy
making
now.
it so awkward?
You
Lauren?
made it awkward.
You're making it awkward.
You
The
made it
way
awkward.
you're not.
Peg Jones is a dairy farmer in Wisconsin.
That doesn't sound right. They got dairy stuff there?
I feel like every Peg Jones is a dairy farmer in Wisconsin. That's why I said her whole name, because I'm like, there's like 50 Peg Jones Wisconsin dairy farmers.
Right, yeah. You think so?
Sorry,
Probably
I'm
not. It's probably
stereotyp-
one.
I'm
It's like
stereotyping
Peg
like-
Jones Dairy. And she's like, thanks a lot for outing me.
Right?
Those douches.
That's awesome. So I probably drank some milk or eaten some cheese from Peg.
Do you got the little brother review?
Yes, I do.
That's
You want to read it? Here, you
This is
haven't
one of
read
my
any
favorite
reviews.
ones so far. Okay. This is by Dame Dana. And it's a 5-star review. It says, it feels like that. That it feels like these guys are like your little brother and his best friend. Your whole life you had to listen to them giggling and botching a foreign accent. And then giggling some more. Best friend was at your house so much it seemed like he was another pesky little brother. But now little brother and his best friend are grown up. And it turns out they're really funny. And they are also really good at podcasting. Pfft, exaggeration. And you couldn't be more proud of them, even if they still botch foreign accents.
What are you talking about, mate?
What were you doing?
was my
This
British-
is UK today.
That was my British-Australian mix.
Oh, okay.
It's like a spring mix of the two.
Oh, I like it. It's fresh. Got some pop to it.
What are you doing, mate?
Hey, how are you doing today? I don't let the dingoes out.
Oh, Jesus. This thing's gone on too long, even though it's not even an hour.
Yeah, this was a
We get
shorter
loopy.
episode.
We get real loopy.
Lauren does. I don't know what you're talking about.
Go check out truecrimeguys.com. That's our website on Podbean. Give us a like on Facebook if you haven't yet. Rate and review on iTunes if you haven't yet. You know, there's all these different ways you can help out. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/truecrimeguys. We got a bunch of new Patreon people this last week.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. You guys will be
Definitely.
getting
All of
shout-outs
you-
next Patreon episode.
Yeah, all of you will get an individual shout out on the next one.
And I've been sending out stickers like a mofo.
Oh, yeah,
I've
we're
been
run-
sending out stickers. Sending out stickers.
Yeah.
What I meant to say. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the Gold Creeper army is growing tremendously,
Yeah.
and I love it.
And we will do a heist episode pretty soon. We're going to start looking into that.
Yeah.
And we love all your suggestions. You can follow us on social media at True Crime Guys.
Yep. Instagram, Twitter. Facebook. Like I said, there's that closed group on Facebook if you want to join that.
Yeah.
If you guys want to check out some creeper gear on redbubble.com,
Yeah.
you can search True Crime Guys, click on the portfolios, designs. We're going to be adding some new designs pretty soon. I kind of dropped the ball on that. Working on it. I'm working on it.
Yep.
So,
Lay off.
anything else?
I don't know, man.
Good? You ready to close this puppy
I just
down?
hope I got all the thoughts in my head on this case out.
Did you?
And I hope we're obviously not experts in mental health. Obviously. But this case in particular, like we talked about Kipling Kinkle, we felt like he was deeply disturbed at a young age,
Yeah.
and like what he did, we actually felt remorseful for. We felt bad because he had like deep remorse for what he had done. He felt terrible
Absolutely.
for killing his parents, and we do believe that he was just really extremely depressed young individual.
Now, Kipling,
this
I think,
kid,
could be rehabilitated.
yeah,
I believe in that.
because he had deep remorse for
Yeah.
what he'd done, and now James Fairweather, we just felt like he was. It was different for us. I don't know.
So cold, man.
It was so cold, and we felt like he was studying to try and get off
Yeah.
on
he
manslaughter
was.
charges for what he had done.
Yep.
And it seemed like he was proud about what he had done in a sense. And
Like I said, it's almost like he wanted the credentials
But
of being
I'm-
a serial killer.
Yeah.
Like he didn't want. It wasn't a sexual thing. It wasn't like. I don't know. Maybe it was a power thing. Maybe he felt very in control. I know there was a story that we left out where he had headbutted a child. Coming through school, and when he saw the blood coming from his nose and the kid go to the ground, like he remembered it being such a powerful feeling there.
yeah,
So I don't know. Maybe it was a little bit about power.
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know, man. It's one of those, like, there was so many questions to me that we had to answer, and I don't know if we did or not, but we did our best to give our opinions on. Our opinion is that he got what he deserved as far as the trial was fair.
Yeah.
The jury found him guilty of 2 murders, which he did do,
Yep.
and
He got his psych evaluations.
yeah.
Yep.
So,
He was dealt a fair.
and he's not a serial killer.
trial.
He only killed 2 people.
That's right.
So,
Fell short.
yep,
You're a duo
not
killer.
good enough, kid.
You're like the twin killer.
Yeah.
And a duo.
Oh, you almost had it. You gotta be quicker than that.
Gotta be quick on it.
All right, that's it for this week. Keep creeping. We'll see you guys next week.
All right. Keep creeping, guys.